with the Anoxic experiment done, it's time to turn this thing into a real fish tank. So, let's get some plants, maybe a little bit of rock, and get this thing going. Hello everyone, this is Bentley, and today, we're planting this bad boy right here. You can notice I've already put some hardscape in, just some dragonstone, nice and simple. I didn't want to do anything too crazy, but this is there to help with a few of the plants and just add a little something interesting. It's not necessarily perfect for a breeding setup and catching fish, but thankfully guppies are not the hardest thing to catch. So, let's talk about the plants. So I made two different orders, one through Boost Plant, and we'll go through that first. I have two Nymphaea stellata bulbs, so we won't have these right away, but the goal is to let them grow in. They're a smaller Nymphaea in general, although the bulbs on these things are freaking huge, if you can see that. They're like enormous compared to, say, like red tiger lotus, but it's supposed to be a smaller Nymphaea species. And then I got one of these just because I like it and I think it's interesting. It was Echinodorus zinguensis, which is a really fine sword plant. I know it's kind of hard to see in the bag, but it's a really, really thin, kind of needle-leafed version of a sword, and I just thought it would be kind of neat to come up over the top of some of this rock here. And then one of the major plants that I'm going to have quite a few of, and that is because they're tissue culture based, is Cryptocoryne Willisii. So Willisii doesn't get super large, and that's going to go really good with one of the other plants that are in there. But I have that, and I think I bought 3 tissue cultures. Let me make sure. Yeah, 3 tissue cultures of that. And then I have this really awesome Anubias chili jalapeno, which is a smaller, really cool looking leaf shape. I just wanted a couple things with some interesting leaf shape. And then the last thing I got from Boost Plant was Echinodorus Aflame, also known as the Purple Night Sword. This is again a tissue culture, but I wanted to have a little pop of some different color and not your typical just red and green. So I went with purple. Also, that's what my wife likes. Now, second order. By this conspicuous bag, clearly you know this came from Aquarium Co-op. And I'm sure somebody's going to be like, oh, don't you always, rag on Aquarium Co-op? I think it's fair to rag or be critical of any product, regardless of the company. I still buy stuff from Aquarium Co-op, even if I'm critical of certain things. So, let's talk what we got. Some Boost Black Pearl. I really like this stuff. I got 2 pots of it. And then the real, probably star of the show is this plant here. This is Schismatoglottis prioritae. Praetoi? This is a tough one. Even for me who's, semi-good at the fake Latin, that's a tough one. But I got 5 pots of that. So the really cool thing about Schismatoglottis, I think I've got that right, is it looks a lot like Anubias, but it is planted and grows very similar to Crypts. And because it stays relatively small in the sense of leaf structure, it actually can make a really cool foreground plant. So my goal is to have it kind of spread out throughout the foreground with a little bit of the Cryptocoryne Willisii and then a little bit more Willisii kind of wrapping around the side over here in order to give us a kind of varied, I don't want to say carpet, but covering. And then the other major plant that I got, just because I wanted a few of them, hold on, here it is this guy right here, this is Boost Needle Leaf. And again, did it in a tissue culture, but that's why we have a good amount of hardscape in here so that we have attachment points for some of the Anubias and Boosts that I picked out. I'm going to try my best to friction fit things as opposed to gluing, but we'll see how that turns out. So with that being said, I'm going to get the planting, and then, well, I'm going to get the cleaning tissue cultures, let's be honest. Then I'm going to get planting, and when that's all said and done, I'll walk you through what I planted, what's missing, because some stuff got canceled out of my order from Boost Plant, so I either have to wait for new ones because they didn't meet their standards for health, which is good. I'm glad they do a quality control inspection. Or figure out some other plant to be kind of my larger plant or my more dense plant to help give a little extra cover. So with that being said, I'm going to get to work. Okay, so here we are. I'm handheld, so you'll have to forgive me a little bit, but here's the planting. You can see all the Scligomatis. I'm going to pronounce that horribly if I'm not staring at the name and getting used to it. Up front, mixed in with some of the Willisii and a little bit of the Echinodorus aflame. I moved one of the Haughty Red Pearls over here, and then a bunch more crypt in the back. You can see the two Nymphaeas back there. Until they sprout a plant, they're just going to sit, but more than likely their long-term position might be over this way, at least one. Maybe the other one will stay in the back corner over there, because the crypts don't necessarily mind a little bit of shade. And then you can see we've got just chunks of friction fit boosts and that Anubias chili jalapeno throughout the rock. Yeah, I mean, it's super simple scape. Oh, and you can see there's some, I know it's cloudy, I stirred up a bunch of dirt, blah, 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 but that'll all clear itself. There's some of the Echinodorus aflame, a little bit of the Willisii in back, there's a little bit more over here, and then that Zinguensis Echinodorus is in the back. It comes out in several almost like grass-like strands. Think similar to Vallisneria, right? So there's quite a bit of it kind of spread out. We'll see how it fills in, and if it takes up a bunch of space, then I'll be looking forward to that, because it'll make a really nice, thick, kind of bushy area back there. And kind of over the top, you can kind of see it there in the back. I know it's not perfect, but there you go. That's it, fully planted. I think it looks nice, but it'll look way better as it grows in. That chili jalapeno is just a really cool looking plant. I think that's even though I've got it kind of almost dead center of the tank, I think that's the thing that stands out the most. But as the Haughty Red Pearls grow, we might actually have to move the one that's here, because it might be too clustered. And that just might mean it moves to a different tank, but I tried to give plenty of room to the one over there that is the one that's the hardest to keep down. I just need it to grow more roots, and adding CO2 will help with that. So yeah, we'll cut back to my face, and we'll talk about what the plans are next for this tank. Tank's all planted. What's next? First things first, I need to check the temperature a little more. Just by feel, it feels like it's closer to like 70, 72. And in order to do the Guppy project correctly, I'm probably going to need to dial it in somewhere around the 74, 76 range in order to get a reasonable ratio of male to females in the spawn. Water's going to be cloudy. That's going to go away. I will be changing the internal filter out. I just haven't decided what filter I want to put on this tank. It'll probably be a hang-on back. I just haven't figured out which one. Most likely something small. I just want water flow from it. I don't really care about it doing heavy filtration work. The plants, the undergravel filter, those are going to do that for us. And then that will also mean that the sponge that's in the back will go away, but that will leave space, because as those bulbs in the back start growing out, that'll give us plants, and we'll need more room for those as well from the rest of the planting. But that's it. Pretty simple. Now, I wouldn't really say it's a super big aquascape, but the goal here is to add some CO2 as well. Just get a simple diffuser similar to what we've got up here in Fallen Forest and over in Brother-in-Law James's tank, which is those little metal ones with a replaceable diffuser disc, just because I think they're super easy and wonderful, and they do the trick very, very well. So then from there, it's just a matter of letting these plants grow in a little bit and getting this tank ready for fish, which I would say once I get the temperature adjusted, I change out the filter just for my water flow purposes. I don't need heavy flow. Again, we're doing the guppies. I just want clear movement, and I'd like to get some of the bigger chunky things that are inside the tank that aren't plants out. So that's it. That's it. I would guess probably about a month, maybe. I'll let the plants grow in, and then I'll actually put fish into it. Maybe it'll be faster. It depends on how things grow in, or if we have some catastrophic problem. We'll see how things go. But if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Leave a comment down below. What do you think is most interesting? Where did I screw up the most? Clearly I'm not doing this heavily aquascaped, but I think it looks nice. And once it grows in, I think it's going to be a very attractive tank, but nothing like too crazy when it comes to our maintenance. As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching, and stay awesome.